What's up, podcast listeners? Welcome back to the What's Up Casselberry podcast. Andy and Drew here, episode number 54. Andy and I are Casselberry residents. We are so glad to have you a part of this podcast. Each and every week, we love to share casual conversations with each other and with special guests about all things Casselberry, for the good of Casselberry, about Casselberry related issues, and speak with those who are involved with our city. Andy, you and I just this week, in fact, had a chance to meet with some local pastors, with some other local leaders in our community from various walks of life. And I got to tell you, it's really fascinating and cool to be able to listen and learn from those who have various voices and various views, but all with the same motivation to make Casselberry the very best it can be.
Yeah, Drew, I'm in my element. I mean, I think both you and I love to connect people together. That's a big part of why we started the podcast, right? Because we want to connect our community together, because when we connect our community together and we know each other, it becomes richer and stronger and more vibrant. And so I've really enjoyed it. I mean, we've met with some leaders in several different sectors, in the areas of faith, in the areas of education, with some of the electeds. And it's good for us to talk. You know, there has been so much division in our world recently. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. And one of the ways that we're going to get through that, one of the ways that we're going to thrive through this, is by learning again how to communicate and how to talk to one another. So I've been very excited about the opportunities to do that. And in some situations where there's been a little bit of conflict, I think we've found that as we talk honestly, humbly, vulnerably, we can solve some pretty significant problems as well. So honestly, I've loved bringing people together, listening to them, learning from them, and then introducing them to some other friends within the city and seeing what we can do together.
Absolutely. And it really is. It's all about being together. We can do more together. That's Andy Searle's quote and mantra. And speaking of being together, Andy, I know you and I, when we have good, deep, rich conversations, it's often over food. So our Casselberry in the News segment involves a couple of exciting developments in the area of food here in Casselberry. First and foremost, we want to highlight that Wa Sushi is back open again. Wa Sushi used to be right on Seminole Boulevard. My wife and I love their sushi. They've moved just up the way and are in the Ollie's Plaza. They're behind Buffalo Wild Wings on 436 and Red Bug Lake Road. Check out Wa Sushi. They're not a sponsor, but hey, maybe they will be after they hear this. And then the other newsworthy segment is that the Chipotle in Casselberry is advancing their mechanisms to serve those of us who are hungry for some Chipotle.
I'm not quite sure whether they're going to change the existing Chipotle or bring another Chipotle in, but throughout the pandemic, it seems like the folks at Chipotle, which is one of my favorite fast Tex-Mex places. Is it Tex-Mex? Would you call it Tex-Mex?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
They've been getting creative. And
I do have to interrupt, though. Is it Chipotle or Chipotle? Because I was saying lay. Robin, weigh in on this.
I believe it's Chipotle.
Yes.
Did I say Chipotle?
Yes, you did.
I think you're just mishearing because of my accent. Good, I'm not even sure we have Chipolate or whatever you're calling it in England. But anyway, back to the story. They are going to pioneer in Casselberry, it was announced, a new style of restaurant that has some kind of drive-in, drive-through component as well. And I'm not sure quite how it's all going to look, but I was excited, one, that they were innovating, and secondly, that they were bringing their innovations to Casselberry as well. I love their food, and if there's a way that they can help me get it faster, I'm in. So I was very excited about that when I read that Chipotle is innovating in some of their food delivery, and they're wanting to start that here in Casselberry.
Absolutely. Completely agree. If I can get Chipotle faster, I'm all for it. We are thankful for all of our local businesses and restaurants in Casselberry. Andy, you and I know, do our decent job of trying to get more and more restaurants here because we like to eat. We definitely like to enjoy food from the different area restaurants. Well, speaking of those who we enjoy very much, we love recognizing those who are leading and serving in our community. Recently, we talked about on a previous podcast, John Jones was January's Community Member of the Month. And we want to recognize the next Community Member of the Month. If you have a recommendation for those who are serving, who are leading, who are inspiring those in our great city of Casselberry, let us know. Reach out through our social media feeds, our Facebook page, Instagram feed, directly through our podcast feed or our website. Just search What's Up Casselberry. Give us a nomination. Give us a shout out. Let's highlight who are doing great things in our community. Today's sponsor is We Insure. We Insure cares for your insurance needs, whether it be your home, auto, or business. Josh Hinkle is our local We Insure agent, and he and his wife Kelly serve Casselberry, Winter Springs, and the surrounding area. We Insure serves as an active member of the Casselberry Chamber of Commerce and are committed to excellent customer service. I'll tell you, listener, my wife Becky and I have personally benefited from the work of Josh and the We Insure team. Contact Josh Hinkle with We Insure for all of your insurance needs at 321-422-3255. Thanks, We Insure.
Listeners, welcome to our favorite part of the show where Drew and I turn the volume down on ourselves and listen to someone of importance and significance. And we have certainly got someone who fits both of those categories today. Our guest is Alan Harris, the director of the Office of Emergency Management in Seminole County. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today, and love to talk to our residents directly. And this is a great way for us to get down into emergency management and emergency response. So really, I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Alan, we are thrilled to have a conversation with you. I know for myself, I feel safer already just being in your presence through this conversation. Well, Alan, this is Andy and I are definitely not foodies. We do not have the highest, most fancy palate, but as kind of an icebreaker question, we do talk about food a lot on this podcast. And so we want to hear from you. What is your favorite place to eat in Seminole County?
My palate changes all the time, but I would say I'm going to go to Casselberry, and Cubans on the Run is like my lunch place a lot, so I love that place. Conestoga's I love up in Sanford. Of course, it is close to my office, so that's much faster for me to get to. But there are so many cool little restaurants around Seminole County. So it just depends on the day what I'm in the mood for. But yeah, there's a lot of great places to eat around here.
We are big fans of Cubans on the Run, and it would be an emergency in our life if anything ever happened to them. So
yes,
that's it. So Alan, tell us about the Office of Emergency Management. You mentioned you are located in Sanford, but who are you? Who funds you? What does your team look like? What does emergency management do?
Emergency management is a still relatively new profession when you look at professions in public safety. Fire department's been around since Ben Franklin was the first fire chief in the United States of America, at least the most noted one. And I did come from the fire service, and law enforcement has been around for forever. It just seems like. And for public safety, emergency management is one of the newer. We used to be called civil defense back in the day, and civil defense basically drew up plans during the Cold War for a nuclear attack from Russia. So these were individuals, maybe one or two persons' offices, that developed the nuclear fallout plan, if you will. And there were some fallout shelters here in the Seminole County area, believe it or not. over the years, civil defense is kind of morphed into other things. They said, okay, well, you're doing a disaster plan for nuclear attack. Well, why don't you do one for a blizzard up north? So they started doing that. And in Florida, they're like, well, those guys are doing a blizzard. Why don't you do a flood? And why don't you do this thing that comes every year and scares us, a hurricane? So we started doing those things. Jimmy Carter made FEMA a cabinet level position, back decades ago. And emergency management was really strongly changed after September the 11th attacks. That's when emergency management, they really utilized emergency management to its full capabilities. And so what we do is we prepare, respond, and recover and mitigate hazards. So we look at every hazard that can happen in our community, and then we develop a plan for how we're going to respond to that. Do gap analysis is on that plan. If there's mitigation efforts that we can take, we start to build those mitigation activities, whether it's a stormwater system, whether it's hardened doors and windows in a school for emergency sheltering, whether it's alerting systems, which we have done here in Seminole County through our Alert Seminole program, which is a text and voice system, reverse calling systems, redundant communication systems for our 911 system. So emergency management encompasses all of those. So under my division is, of course, the emergency management folks, but also E911, Emergency 911 Administration, addressing. So every address that is in Seminole County comes through the Office of Emergency Management. Radio telecommunications. So that's all the portable radios, mobile radios, everything that's in a police car, a fire truck. Doesn't matter if you're in a city or a county or whatever, public works truck, school buses, whatever. We run all the tower sites for that, all the management for the infrastructure that helps our public safety officials out in front communicate with each other. So a lot of different facets. And then because we do that so well, they threw animal services in there as well. So I'm also in charge of animal services, although we won't be talking a lot about animal services today. If you are in need of a dog or cat, please come down and adopt one. We have lots of them there that are looking for homes.
Excellent. I guarantee you that's going to get some traffic. Just mention animals and instantly there's a connection there. Respond, recover. Those are the R's you mentioned.
Respond, recover, mitigate, and prepare. So we hope that we're in preparedness a lot more. So people ask us, well, what do you do when there's no hurricane? And I say exactly what the military does when there's no war. We're planning, we're preparing, we're training, we're exercising. We do all the exercises, the full-scale exercise for the airports coming up, where you have victims, mock victims that come out because we have to be ready for that. Active shooter exercises, active shooter training programs. So everything that you would think of that deals with a disaster, we're constantly training, exercise planning, and mitigating those events.
I love that. And that's a sign of good leadership, acting and being proactive instead of just simply reacting. Well, obviously 2020 and into 2021, you are very much, and your team is at the forefront. What have you been up to this past year? What has this specific time where it's not planning, it's not working behind the scenes, you're very much visible and out in front of this pandemic. What's that been like for your team?
Exhausting, quite frankly. It's been a lot of long hours, many days. We're working 6 days a week. We have I think today is 327 day that the Emergency Operations Center has been active. Prior to that, ironically, Seminole County did have the longest acting emergency operations center, and that was during the state of Florida versus George Zimmerman trial, where we were active for many weeks. And that was everything from when the judge got up in the morning and drove over to the courthouse, to scanning the courthouse, making sure everything was safe, to making sure the jury was sequestered and good, all the way through the courtroom, court case during the day, and then back home. So in the Emergency Operations Center, do lots of different events. So certainly it has not been a normal year. It has been quite crazy with COVID, but there's been other things along with COVID. I mean, we did during the COVID event, we also had a flood along the St. Johns River. River, which damaged some homes. We also had a couple hurricanes we prepared for. Hurricane Isaias didn't hit us, but we got shelters prepared and ready to go. So we've had a couple different other events while we've had this COVID thing going on as well. And certainly, we talk about disaster fatigue. I think everybody's had disaster fatigue when it comes to this. We talk about disaster fatigue after hurricanes. My goodness, after 300 plus days of COVID, I think we're all in that boat together.
There's another question there. What counsel would you give to folks who are feeling that? I mean,
I think that in Seminole County, we did encourage the social distancing. We did do the facial mask and coverings. But one thing that we never did as a county government is we never said we were going to close anything. That the state did. The state of Florida did set up who was essential businesses and who wasn't. But we never did that. We always thought social distancing, facial masks and coverings was the way to protect the public. And we also encouraged people to get outside, to go. And, we are known as Florida's natural choice. That's what Seminole County's logo is right now. Our motto is Florida's natural choice. We have hundreds of trails, bike trails and walking trails, and the Akanahatchee, the National Center, National Forest. There's just so much that's out there, and the last thing we wanted people to do was to be cooped up in their homes. So that's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, we have been very innovative during this event. People are doing birthday drive-bys where, celebrating people's birthday that way, doing Zoom events, all kinds of really interesting things. So we never wanted people to not be connected. We still wanted people to connect, and that's important. And that's also important for our faith communities. So, we mind, body, soul, we really believe that. And the church that I go to, we continued to do small groups in Zoom. We continue to do services on Sundays that we would regularly all attend. And there, for a little bit, did a drive-in. And what was ironic about the drive-in, we were reaching people that we had never reached before, ever. They happened to be driving by, said, "Hey, what's that?" Stopped by. Mm-hmm. So, we have been very innovative, but that's the way we get through this is we have to be innovative. We have to connect in a different way, and we have to get out of our homes, walk around, breathe the air, things like that. That's my belief.
Kind of along those lines, we talked about fatigue, and that is a real issue. I know Andy and I have had on our podcast here a couple of counselors and those in the health department kind of talking about several things that you mentioned about being outside and being cared for both physically as well as emotionally and spiritually. Alan, for you and that in your role that is very highly engaging, needing to be on a lot, how do you stay calm when everyone seems to be getting so frustrated?
I tell you, this is a disaster I have never experienced in my life, just like everybody else. But as an emergency manager, it has been very, very challenging. Physically and mentally. I've never people have been upset during a hurricane. Yes, they're upset that their debris doesn't get picked up on time. They're upset that their power doesn't come back on time. But I've never had threats. I've never had threats to me and my family. I've never had to deal with anything like that specifically. I'm not a politician. That's not what I do. I'm an operations type guy. I came from the fire service. So that was very, very stressing to have people call and threaten. And the way that I dealt with it is I did exactly what I mentioned a little bit ago. And that is, I made sure I went at the end of the day, if I could, go ride my bike around and just listen to music and play with the dogs and do the things that gets my mind off of, some of and I understand people are upset just because they're upset. I get it. Whatever it is, they're upset the whole situation. So am I. I'm upset with the whole situation too. No one came into 2020 and said, gee, I'd really love to wear facial masks and coverings every time I'd like to go to the grocery store. And gee, I'd like not to see my family for, weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh, and I'd like to stay at home for forever. So, none of us wanted that to happen. And we're just trying to get through it the best we can.
How do you respond to difficult people? It saddens me greatly that you've sacrificed so much to lead so well and are criticized for it. But how do you deal with people who don't don't understand what you're doing and don't want to. And
I can only provide the information, and the information, I'm not a doctor, so we have teams. In Seminole County, we have an executive advisory group. The executive advisory group is made up of all 7 cities. So every city manager sits on that. So, and the sheriff sits on it, and the superintendent of schools, and the county manager, and the county attorney, and the director of health for the health department, and senior epidemiologist, and the chief medical officers of the 4 hospitals provide advisory information. And we try to make good decisions based on that. So the advisory group comes up with whatever is suggested to protect the community based on science. And then we do it. And then we try to save lives. That's our whole purpose, is to save lives. And some people don't like what we have done. And if they don't, we try to provide them the science and the information that we receive. So for the reason that we made that decision. And some people will be okay with it. And some people say, I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. And those people are people that you can reason with and you can talk to. And I love dialogues with that type of individual. The individuals that immediately start attacking, there's not much you can do there. You just, I understand your frustration, and that's all that you can really say in that case.
Yeah, certainly. We're learning in leadership these days, especially as people have access and abilities to communicate over social media or other platforms, that there's going to be criticisms. But Alan, give our people a moment to kind of hear some encouragement. Brag on the emergency team. What's something significant that your team has accomplished this past year?
If you look at 8 or 9 months ago, we didn't even have a COVID test. You couldn't even find one. Now we're doing community-based testing anywhere and everywhere. We're in assisted living facilities. We're in nursing homes. We're testing at community-based drive-through testing sites. That has worked really well. Since the very beginning of COVID, we have been calling every individual that is COVID positive, and we see if they need any food, if they need any support, even down to if they have a sick animal and they need to take it to the vet, that we will help them with that. We've gone to the very highest level of, I think, public service by providing lots of services to individuals that are COVID positives. And there's 2 reasons we do that. Number one, they don't have to go to the grocery store and maybe infect someone else. That's obviously the primary. And then number 2 is that people are on fixed income. People may be laid off. They maybe they don't have PTO where they are, so they don't get paid time off. So we wanted to help them out in some small way. So we partnered with Harvest Time International. We partnered with the Christian Sharing Center, with Second Harvest Food Bank, and we get those foods into our warehouse. We package them up into family delivery boxes, and then we deliver those to individuals that are COVID positive. So that's one of the wonderful things that we've done. We've had a citizens information line that has been active for 300 plus days now, and they answer all kinds of questions related to COVID. They are helping people right now with vaccine registration and testing, so those types of things. We were the first in the state of Florida, our team, to activate appointed dispensing, where we distribute the vaccine. At that particular time, we were distributing the Moderna vaccine, but we also did get the Pfizer vaccine. So we were the first in the entire state to offer that to the public on December the 28th. We also have a mobile team. So we were planning in June, July for vaccinations, and we did an exercise and we identified gaps, and we decided it was going to be in our best interest in Seminole County to do a 4-prong approach. So we have the fixed site, which is where I am today. It's a little probably echoey because I'm in an old storage room of Sears doing the talk here today. We also have a mobile team that is going to low and fixed income communities, and we're linking up with churches to do that. We just did one in East Altamont at Divine Truth Church. We've done quite a few other churches. We have quite a few other churches planned. Just on Monday, we're going to be at East Coast Believers in the Oviedo area. So we've been going from church to church and helping the low and fixed income communities, transportation disadvantaged communities, also the seniors. So we're trying to get near senior communities as well. We have another mobile team that is going in at home delivery. So taking vaccine directly to the home. And this is got to be triage, but it's for individuals that can't get out of their homes, that maybe they require a Hoyer lift just to get out of bed. They still have to go to the doctor. They still have to do certain things like that. So we provide that. And then we have another team that goes and helps delivery of vaccine to public health, healthcare workers, things like that. So a 4-pronged approach here in Seminole County. I'm proud of the team. We haven't done everything perfectly. I think that the crashing of the telephone system is a supply and demand issue. We just don't have enough vaccine coming into the county. But once you get the appointment, it's pretty seamless.
Alan, that's just incredible. I mean, almost mind-blowing to hear. And I would encourage our listeners just to rewind a little bit and listen to that again, because I just love the human touch that you've been able to offer in the midst of this very real crisis as well. And as you're talking about it, reminds me of a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, who said that he led by walking softly while carrying a big stick, right? And there's a sense in which you have a big stick, right? You have the authority of the experts, the authority of the government behind you, but you've also walked with great tenderness and care through this as well. Why has it been so important to kind of lean into both those two traits, right? You've had the authority, you've had to be assertive and directive and lead, but at the same time, you've done so in a very benevolent way. Could you talk about that a little bit?
I just have a passion for this. I never knew what emergency, going back to the very first questions, I didn't know what emergency management was. Emergency management wasn't much of anything when I first started. In fact, when I worked for the fire service and my fire chief called me one day and said, I need you to go to the EOC. I said, I don't even know what that is. What is an EOC? And he said, it's the Emergency Operations Center. And okay. I need you to be the PIO. And I said, what is that? And he said, the Public Information Officer. He said, you take a marketing class at University of Florida, right? And I said, yeah, I took one. He's like, good, that's good enough. So I went to the EOC, and back then it was a little teeny room. It wasn't like we have now with computer screens and monitors and all that kind of stuff and traffic cameras coming in. We can see weather and all that kind of stuff. It was just this one little room with a whiteboard, and that was it. And I saw all these people that came into the room and tried to coordinate with a passion to help others, coordinate response from law enforcement to fire rescue to EMS, emergency medical services, to the hospitals. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is really, really cool. We can change and save lives in this room. And I was sold. I started doing work with FEMA through the Emergency Management Institute up in DC to try to get to be an emergency manager. And of course, on August 13th, 2004, ironically, the night Hurricane Charlie hit, I started my career in emergency management from the fire service. But I have a passion for this. I love this. I love being able to help others. I'm not a politician. It's just not something that I do. I'm an operations type of guy. I love to get things done, and I love to help people and save people if I can. And I think that we've done the best that we can with the science that we have learned. Someone asked me at the very beginning, they said, tell me about this COVID thing. And I said, I would rather deal with Ebola right now than COVID. I don't know anything about COVID. No one knows anything about COVID. One person feels great, and then another person is on a ventilator in a hospital for no reason whatsoever. I can't tell you why one is in a ventilator dying and another one doesn't even feel it, doesn't even get a fever. I don't get it. At least Ebola, I know what it is. I know how to deal with it. We've done it before. There's no textbook on COVID-19. We're learning it every second. We're learning something new. It's frustrating because there's new science and that makes people confused, but it is something that's ever changing and we're ever learning. And we've done the best that we can with the information that we have. So that's hopefully people understand that.
I think there's a handling there of going forward with the information we have, but obviously understanding that this is literally unprecedented times. Right. Alan, you mentioned being a Gator. I'm a Gator as well. Go Gators. Maybe we could talk about emergencies of how we're going to replace Kyle Trask in the future. That'd be another conversation.
That will be an emergency.
Alan, could you tell us and the folks, obviously the vaccine is new. It's getting out there. We've reported on our podcast about folks, over 65 and just, can you tell us from your perspective and your team, what is sort of the process and what do people need to know about the sharing of the vaccine?
A lot of hope right now. If the speed at which Pfizer and Moderna got vaccine to the market is incredible. And that's because we've invested a lot over years in technology, and we are much better at developing vaccines than we've ever been. So that's a wonderful thing. People are hesitant. Some people are hesitant, not to the level we thought, but some people are hesitant because of that. But it is out there. We have the vaccine now. It's in the community. So I would say that there is a lot of hope. There's also a lot of frustration right now. There's a lot of frustration because people can't get an appointment. In Seminole County, we initially received 12,675 vaccines for a week. This is right at Christmas time. The following week, we received 5,800, more than half, or less than half. The next week, we received 3,900, again, almost half. And the last 2 weeks, we received 1,950. For the whole week. And that's frustrating. That's frustrating for people because they want an appointment. They want to come and get their vaccine. But what I would say is there is hope. There will be more. We're hearing the Johnson & Johnson may come out pretty soon. We are hearing AstraZeneca may be close as well. So the more that are on the market, the more vaccine that's out there, the more available vaccine will be to people. There is an initiative now to expedite the vaccine into the community. So that is helpful as well. So a little more patience is what I would say. And we are getting the vaccine out as fast as we can.
Alan, we could talk forever. I got 1,000 follow-up questions. Maybe that's for another day, but we need to wrap up. What are you most looking forward to in 2021? 20 was really tough. Give us a picture of hope for 21.
I'm looking forward, and people are going to think I am completely nuts right now. I had a cruise planned in March. I want to go on that cruise. I want to go on that cruise. I want to enjoy a cruise. I love going. I'm a big cruiser because that's the only time my phone is actually turned off. And I don't go on many vacations where I don't turn my phone off, but there I do. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope that we can do that in 2021. I hope that we won't have to wear facial masks and coverings all over the place all the time. I hope that we've done this. You know what? I hope we've learned something. And this is what I hope we've learned. If we haven't learned anything else, I hope we've learned when we're sick, stay home. We joke about this all the time. Even in my office, we've joked about it in the past. We're not anymore about bringing the flu to work and, oh, ha, ha, ha. Everybody has passed the flu around like it's something fun. So hopefully we've learned to be a little bit more respectful of individuals. And if we're sick, we stay at home. We don't spread it. If we're not feeling good, we stay at home. So hopefully I'm looking forward to that too, that we're not spreading the flu or the cold or whatever, that we're taking care of ourselves a little bit better. So those are some things that I'm looking forward to. I guess I want to get on a cruise. I want to go to the grocery store and go to my gym without a facial mask and covering. Hopefully we'll get to that point pretty soon. And, maybe by the end of 2021. And if someone is sick, that they'll just stay at home.
Those are certainly some things to look forward to. My wife and I have got a credit still for a canceled cruise from last year. So we may see you on that.
I'll see you.
But here's the deal. If you do get on that cruise, Alan, we need you back by hurricane season. We can't do it without you.
Yes.
Alan, thank you so much for your time today. But honestly, above and beyond that, thank you so much for your leadership over this past year. I am so proud to be a citizen of Seminole County when I see a reasonable, thoughtful, scientific, wise response to the virus. And for what it's worth, I think you and your team have done an incredible job. We're just very, very grateful to you. So thank you for today.
Thank you.
But thank you for the past 18 months as well. We are certainly blessed to have such strong, thoughtful leaders in our community as Alan. It really does pain me to hear the criticism he's received, but what a great job he has done in keeping us safe. I was especially impressed, Drew, that before we started recording, we were talking about the vaccine shots, and he didn't say we're just vaccinating people. He said we're saving lives, and it really sounds like his work is a passion for him, of which we are all grateful recipients. His words, his thoughts were inspirational. As we better close up our episode today, Drew, you have a little more inspiration for us.
I sure do. And Alan Harris, I believe, lives out this quote very well. This is from John Quincy Adams, one of our former presidents of the United States. He said this regarding leadership: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. You know, many folks talk the talk, will say certain things, will be very demonstrative and try to push people forward. But I love this quote because it's all about our actions. What are we doing? How are we modeling what it looks like to be an engaged citizen in Casselberry or in the community where you reside? If your actions inspire others to then for them to go out and dream and learn and do and become and live the way that they were created to live, you then, my friend, are a leader. Go be a leader today.
Thank you, Drew. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the What's Up Casselberry podcast. Again, as always, we just want to have casual conversations about our community that bring people in our community together. Thank you so much for producer Robin and all her hard and miraculous work in making us sound better than we actually are. For more information about our podcast, please check out our website, Facebook page, Instagram feed, or podcast feed, all with the name What's Up Casselberry. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, and please rate and review us. We would appreciate that. But until next time, we hope you have a great week. Stay safe and take care.